Fading the public did pretty well in week one, going 4-2, 67% against the spread. I'm going to give you the four most public plays for this Sunday, week two, right here, right now. Hi, this is Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, right back here on WagerTalk TV. And this is Fade the Public for week two of the NFL regular season this Sunday, September the 14th. And as I mentioned, last week I gave you 6 plays here in the video, 4-2 fading those. In fact, the Cardinals covered by less than a point, otherwise close to 5-1. Broncos actually missed out by half a point. So a couple games very close to the line. And keep in mind, fading the public long-term works for a few reasons. First of all, we usually get an inflated line value going the other way. We saw that last week. The Broncos missed out by a point. The Cardinals barely covered. And we had a lot of games very close to the number. Long-term, you do get extra value by taking the under-loved sides in these NFL games. And also the contrarian sides usually work because teams are rarely as good or as bad as they've looked in recent weeks. And I think this holds up more in week two maybe than any point of the season. And we do normally look to take more of a contrarian stance with week two. And one of the reasons is something I've mentioned quite often for years now, is that week one is more random than any week of the regular season, other than the final week, 18 now, when some teams aren't playing their starters. But I used to always say week one of the regular season was like week 5A of the preseason. Well, can't say that anymore because we only have 3 preseason games, which means it's week 4A of the preseason. You can make an argument it's even more random for that reason. So let's dig into these games and see maybe where we play or fade the public in week two. And by the way, all 4 plays this week are favorites. No public underdog. We had one public dog lean last week, and that was the Detroit Lions. They lost to the Packers. I actually had a best bet on Green Bay for my clients. And by the way, if you're new to this video, I've been doing it for several years here. I tell you the most popular public plays based on ticket count, volume, not necessarily money, because sharp bettors bet more than the public. So I look more at ticket count. I look at free contests, other indicators, and I use a consensus of all that data. I use numerous sites and come up with the most public sides each week. And there are 4 of them this week for Sunday, week 2. All 4 are favorites, pretty much all equal. In fact, the first 3 I'd say are all equally public. We'll go down in schedule order. Let's start with the first game at 1 o'clock Eastern, and that is the Dallas Cowboys -5.5. This is as public as any side this week. And another thing I always say about fading the public, they're not necessarily playing a team. They're often just not playing the other team. And nobody wants anything to do with the New York Giants. And I fully get that. They looked terrible last week. And the Commanders beat them 21-6. And then we faded Washington with my free play video this past Thursday night. I gave you the Packers and the under. Nice 2-0 sweep on prime Thursday night. And don't forget, last year, I got to look up the record. I know many of you keep track. We were well over 70% of those free Thursday prime games here. Got off to a perfect 2-0 sweep this past Thursday with the Packers and the under. And I faded not my Washington Commanders, and they did not look good against Green Bay, which means the Giants' 21-6 loss last Sunday on the road looks even worse now as they struggled to stop the Commanders. They had over 200 yards rushing and passing, and then Washington did absolutely nothing offensively Thursday night at Green Bay. Dallas, meanwhile, looked pretty good at times until the rain delay. And then their offense, along with the Eagles, fell asleep. But they did cover, and that was another Thursday night free play I gave you 2 weeks ago. So we're a perfect 3-0 so far in the first 2 Thursday games. Cowboys a couple weeks ago, and then gave you both the Packers and the under this past Thursday. By the way, if you want to make sure you get all the free Thursday night games each and every week, click subscribe and click the bell here on WagerTalk TV, and you will never miss out when my free weeknight games go up. This Fade the Public video, including the Sunday and Monday night games. I've got your Falcons-Vikings free play video ready here, and also a 2-for-1 video for Monday Night Football with both games, Texans-Bucks, Chargers-Raiders. So tons of free content. Click subscribe and click that bell for an instant alert. And if you're liking these free play videos, thumbs up, like, and comment below. I do truly read the comments, and I'll reply back. Now, the Cowboys looked okay on Thursday night. Hard to disagree with the public in this one. Dallas -5 at home off a loss. But once again, we often see wacko results in week 2. We do normally take a contrarian stance. I'm pretty neutral in this game. I want nothing really to do with the Giants necessarily. I did think they were in a decent spot against the Commanders. They still came up short. That was the first time the Redskins had not allowed a touchdown since like the 1990s. And yes, they were the Redskins the last time that happened. So fully understand why the public is heavy on Dallas here in week 2. But once again, that's about as public as it gets this week. The Cowboys -5.5. All right, another game at 1 o'clock Eastern. We're going down to rotation order. Of the 4 games, this is probably the number 4 game. The other 3 are a little more public, but nonetheless, the Rams are still a pretty public side this week, minus the 5.5 at the Tennessee Titans. Not a surprise. Tennessee was the most faded team last week. And as I said earlier, the public isn't necessarily playing the Rams. They're just not playing the Titans. They're just not playing the Giants. And that's where you start getting one-sided action and some inflated line value. And that is definitely the case in this game this week. Titans, terrible team last year, just 3 wins. But here's what's interesting. I mentioned this. They gave up the 3rd most points in the league defensively, but they gave up in the top 3 of fewest yards allowed defensively. And I mentioned this last week, talking about that Denver and Tennessee game, and their defense was okay. They barely gave up about 300 yards, forced 4 turnovers against the Broncos. The problem is the offense was non-existent. Only 133 total yards. They're working Cam Ward in, the true rookie quarterback. Now, obviously, he was in a tough spot last week. Thin air and altitude on the road at Denver. Easier spot at home this week. And the Rams did not look good offensively either last week. Just 72 rushing yards, only 14 points against the Texans. But their defense is pretty solid. So with this 2 teams that did not play well offensively last week, could that be enough for the Titans to sneak within the 5.5? I would lean towards Tennessee here as the contrarian call and fade the public in this one. And by the way, the over-under is sitting at 41.5. 41 is a very key number. And once again, if you want to take a contrarian aspect of this, maybe there'll be more points, but both offenses were pretty bad last week in week 1. All right, we're sticking with the 1 o'clock Eastern games here. Another very public play this week is the Pittsburgh Steelers -3. Now, I'm doing this video late Friday night as we head into Saturday. We post this every Saturday for you. And right now we're seeing 3 -15, 3 -20. So if you like the Steelers, I'd play it sooner than later. If you like the Seahawks, I would wait. You very well might get a +3.5 by kickoff on Sunday afternoon. And I do think the Seahawks might be worth a look in this game. They had a narrow 17-13 loss against the San Francisco 49ers at home last week. 2 turnovers each way. They were outgained in total yards. Very mediocre offensive performance. But you got to wonder if the Steelers might have a little bit of a letdown here after that huge game against the Jets. You also got to wonder if Aaron Rodgers might have a little bit of a letdown. That game was personal for the new Steelers quarterback. He even said so afterwards. And that 34-32 high score and win might leave Pittsburgh a little bit flat here. So especially if this line goes to 3.5 by kickoff on Sunday, there could be some value with the Seattle Seahawks. This is a spot I'd be very careful with the Steelers. Maybe look to fade them here. And once again, 3 -20, but I do think some 3.5s might become available by kickoff on Sunday. All right, and your final game is just as public as any of them this week. It's your late afternoon game at 4:05 Eastern, and that's the Arizona Cardinals -7. Now, this one, once again, 6.5 in some spots, -7 in the others. If you like the Cardinals, and most people do, they're very public this week, grab that -6.5. If you like the Panthers, definitely wait and get +7. Not sure you'll see a 7.5, but this line is rising in many locations. And the Cardinals were a public side last week. I talked about them here in the video. And as I said earlier at the top, they barely covered against the Saints 20-13 as a 6.5 point favorite. Not that great offensively, though. About 276 total yards. They actually got outgained in the game. The Saints, the hapless Saints, 315 yards. No turnovers by either team. And Carolina, meanwhile, yes, they lost 26-10 at Jacksonville, but it was largely due to a 3-1 turnover deficit. They were outgained in total yards. They only had about 250 to like 378. So yes, they did get outplayed in the game, but they also had 3 turnovers, which made the score look a little worse. Arizona Cardinals, if you like them, grab the 6.5, but I would rather wait for +7 with Carolina, which is available now in many spots. I think this is another one of those contrarian calls that often work in week 2. So I would look to fade the public in this one and take Carolina at +7 or more. There you go. 4 most public sides in the NFL for Sunday week 2. Once again, recapping, the Dallas Cowboys -5.5. I think this will probably go, by the way, to -6. So if you like the Cowboys, grab the 5.5. If you like the Giants, wait, find a +6 near kickoff. Same thing with the Rams. They're currently -5.5 in most spots, but this will likely go up to 6 as well. Another public play at 1 o'clock Eastern, the Steelers -3. As I said earlier, I think we might see some 3.5s. And then finally at 4 o'clock Eastern, the Arizona Cardinals -7. Those are your 4 most public sides in week number 2 NFL action. Dallas, LA Rams, Pittsburgh Steelers, and Arizona Cardinals. No additional leans for you. No public dogs this week. We always love to fade those public dogs. We hopefully will have some opportunities next week in week 3. And once again, if you're liking these videos, all I ask is a thumbs up like and a comment below. It can be a positive comment like loving the videos, good luck this week. Or if you have some time, an extra minute or so, drop your best bets below and let me know where you agree or disagree with the public and other games you like this weekend in the NFL. Hey, include some analysis if you have time. Let's learn and earn and win together here on WagerTalk TV. And if you're liking these free play videos, thumbs up like, positive comment below. I will keep them coming every week. But make sure you also click subscribe and you hit that bell as well so you get an instant alert when not only my Fade the Public video goes up each week in the NFL, but also my Saturday College Football Top 25 video every weekend, my Thursday night free plays, Prime, which are perfect so far this season, Sunday night preview, Falcons-Vikings is ready right now, and I've got the Monday night doubleheader, both free plays for you between the Bucs and Texans, Chargers-Raiders. Tons of free content. I always try to do the spotlight games for you, big-time national TV games in both college and pro football each week here on WagerTalk TV. Now, sometimes these games make my best bet card, but as you know, I don't care if it's a high-profile game. I want the games that have the best edge, the most value against the betting line, and those are the games I'm personally using each and every day. Same games I've won consistently with for the last 29 years as a full-time professional handicapper. And it's so simple. Ever since I started back in August of 1996, 4 decades ago. Yes, it's been 29 years, but it's 4 decades, 90s, 2000s, 10s, 20s. If I have a best bet, my clients get it as well. And I'm very selective, maybe 2 to 3 plays per day on average, which means that last cut is still a strong opinion, and I put it up for free for everyone. I don't want to waste that strong opinion. The game that's just a bit outside the best bet card goes up as a bonus free play. So get Sunday's free play right now on my page with analysis. Hey, if you're new to sports betting, if you're new to building your bankroll, if you want to learn as you earn, check out that daily free play. These videos are great. I give you a ton of free plays here, but my strongest remaining opinion, my strongest last cut for my best bet card is my free play of the day at my page, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, and you can get there quicker with shortcut wt.buzz/SM. And while you're there getting the daily free play, be sure to check out those powerful best bets, especially this Sunday. I love this Sunday's NFL card. And if you'd like to get best bet service, we have a 1 day for $39, a 1 week, 7 days for $99. That's all sports, all access. Includes baseball as well. And don't sleep on baseball here in September and October. Playoffs, World Series around the corner. Last year, I finished on an incredible 57-28 winning run to finish out the baseball season through the World Series. And oh yes, the NBA starts in just over a month. College hoops right after that. If you want a 30-day football package, now if you want football only, that's fine. And this is why we do football only, because I know many of you play just football. I do currently have a 30-day college and pro football combo with a $100 instant discount. But if you want all sports, all access, the best deal right now is buy 3 months, get the 4th month for free. That's $300 instant discount on a buy 3 months, get the 4th month for free. And that is all sports. College and pro football, college and pro basketball, Major League Baseball. That gets you all the way to next year into mid-January. Full details on my page. No promo codes needed. Check it out along with the best bets for this weekend and also that daily free play. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. And hey, get there quicker with shortcut wt.buzz/SM. On the way out, don't forget to follow me on social media at Steve Merril. 2 R's, 1 L, Merril. At Steve Merril on X and Instagram. And stay tuned here to WagerTalk TV because you know there's more free play videos, including the Sunday night game, Falcons-Vikings, and both of those Monday night games, a 2-for-1 special, Bucs-Texans, Chargers-Raiders, coming up next.